It's 2009, you just completed Dragon Slayer to equip that big boy rune plate body, you feel like a king, and yet you see a bunch of players rocking all kinds of trimmed armor around you from gold to Saradomin, but you look like this. The only way to become like them is to make more GP, and so it begins. In this video, we're going to check out some nostalgic moneymakers and see if they're still worth doing today. Whenever you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. If you like my RuneScape content, be sure to subscribe. Let's get started. At level 33 magic, you gain access to a spell I do not think is used that often today. Telekinetic Grab, a spell that allows you to pick up items from a distance and through barriers such as a fence. I vividly remember working my way towards this spell by training my magic level in Fist of Guthix, as with that level I would finally be able to grab those elusive golden items underneath the Varrock West Bank. Nowadays, the golden bar is the most valuable item you can telegrab here, and doing so will net you a profit as the price of lore runes isn't that high. With every single bar you telegrab, you will make a net profit of 1876 coins. But there is a problem. The respawn timer for a golden bar is more than 7 minutes long. How do I know this? Well, after 7 minutes of waiting, I gave up. Now, the solution to this, of course, is to hop worlds, and that's exactly what I did until I had a full inventory, so 27 golden bars. This took me over 7 minutes and 45 seconds to do, so quite a long time. These golden bars ended up selling for 2,055 GP each after the GE tax, which is actually not bad at all. Subtract the cost of lore runes and the net profit was around 48.6k, so a profit per hour of 377,000. Now that is of course a terrible money maker in modern RuneScape, but back then that would have been quite good money. But the issue is, back then golden bars were only worth 100 GP each, so not a good money maker. Another place in which money was made was this little temple, as within it spawns an item called the Wine of Zamorak. Now, even though you should be able to grab these Zami wines from the table, you can't because your character has T-Rex arm disorder, something players still suffer from today. If that wasn't bad enough, the Zamorakian, or should I say alcoholic monks, will attack you despite your disability. It's a cruel, cruel world we live in. Now you have to actually physically kill the monk so that you can take your time to climb onto the table to grab the wine, or alternatively you telegrab the wine and then run away. The respawn time of the wine is much faster than the golden bar, so you can wait here and keep grabbing these wines while killing the monks as they respawn. But since the wines are worth so little, this is quite literally one of the worst moneymakers in the game. It actually used to be a relevant free-to-play moneymaker, although now it really isn't. 728 GP profit per wine, given that you sell it at GE price, excluding tax and all that, just isn't enough. Hey, what's that cannibal doing over there? Ah, of course, today's video is sponsored by War Thunder. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game ever made. This game has it all with over 2,000 total vehicles to play, spanning over a development period of 100 years. Planes, helicopters, ships, armored fighting vehicles, and of course tanks are all part of War Thunder. You can go from tin cans such as this to near modern tanks such as the Leopard 2A5. My personal favorite vehicle is the Challenger 2 because it serves T inside while lobbing 120mm shells to its target. Each vehicle model is incredibly detailed and the vehicles feel more real than other games as you're able to fire more than just the main gun in tanks, for example. Even hitting enemies feels realistic as you see a damage x-ray what modules and crew members you damage, since vehicles do not have traditional hit points. You can play War Thunder for free on PC, Xbox, or PlayStation, and by using my link in the description below, you'll receive a major head start, including premium vehicles, premium account time, XP boosters, and a bunch of silver. Team capes. If you played back in the day, you 100% saw people rocking these capes in PvP areas. Why? They looked good and were also functional, but mainly looked cool. If you didn't have level 99 defense or strength, you would probably be rocking one of these in Clan Wars instead. Now, buying these capes from their dealers and selling them on the Grand Exchange used to be an okay moneymaker as far as I remember. So let's see if that's still the case today. My plan was simply to run around in a circle in the wilderness and buy every single cape stock completely empty, so 10 of each team cape, by running around all the shops and going to that single shop in Clan Wars, which nowadays is no longer in the actual wilderness. Now, what's nice about these bankers is that you're able to buy these capes and bank them at them straight away, removing the need of using something like magic notepaper, which would cut into or maybe even destroy the profits completely. What is a problem though is that you're not able to buy or bank at these bankers in combat, which is incredibly frustrating as there's a bunch of aggressive monsters in the wilderness. This actually caused me to go back a second time to the Darren banker near the Glaciers, as I wasn't able to buy all the capes in a single go. But after a very long 30 minutes, I finally had 10 of each cape, having bought every single bit of stock these cape sellers have. Now, it's worth noting that while doing this, I only used the wilderness teleport system and I didn't use any kind of other fancy teleports. Now, all of these capes cost me around 25,000 GP to buy, and I think we should clean this up. Much better. Actually, it looks quite clean to have all of these capes and their variations in the bank. But will we actually make money selling them? Well, that's when disaster struck. Trying to sell team capes in RuneScape 2023 is a complete and utter failure, as pretty much no one except maybe Warband's clans are buying these capes, as people know they can buy them from shops and there doesn't really seem to be any demand for them anymore. I wouldn't really say it's unsurprising, but I would have actually expected to make some money. Maybe if you slow sell these, you would actually make a profit, but for me, failure. Now let's go ahead and try a skilling moneymaker, and the moneymaker I personally used to afford my Guthix plate legs and kite shield back in the day was by mining. I was either mining gold and coal and perhaps even iron as well. Now, out of those three nostalgic ores, iron ores are by far the most expensive, selling for over 1300 GP each. So it's safe to say that these iron ores are going to be quite a decent moneymaker, as you're able to get far more of these than gold ore per hour. Now, in modern RuneScape, you're able to double your ore yield by using an item called the Stone Spirit, and in case of the iron one, it only costs 13 GP per pop, meaning you're doubling your ore at the cost of 13 GP. Now, in just 6 minutes, I was able to obtain 284 iron ores, having to bank twice, despite using an ore box which can hold 120 iron ore. These iron ores ended up selling above GE price and made me over 420k. And that at the cost of only a couple thousand in stone spirits, not even. Meaning I was making over 4 million GP per hour. That is actually a really good and relevant moneymaker even by today's standards for a free-to-play player. Now, before you say, hold on a second, you're using a high-level pickaxe, that's where you're making that kind of money, I tried this with a level 47 mining account in free-to-play using stone spirits, and I was still able to make 3.2 million GP per hour. If you're members, you can even make this completely AFK by using stone spirits and a perfect Juju mining potion to no longer need to replenish your stamina by clicking the rock. But I assume that most players that would do this moneymaker would be doing it in free to play, and as you can see, it's already a very popular mining method. I think it's cool to see a money-making method that I used back in the day still being popular today amongst free-to-play players. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say that killing things was one of my main moneymakers back in the day, but I do remember killing hill and moss giants for combat experience. Two methods I very clearly remember doing was 1, killing these colored or elemental wizards and selling their runes. Now, I did try this method and I tried to hop worlds to kill them as efficiently as possible, and in case you didn't know, you have to kill the water wizard with a different type of elemental rune than water because you can't kill him otherwise, and each of these wizards drop their respective type of runes. So fire wizard drops fire runes, earth wizard drops earth runes, and so on. Now, I tried these out for 10 minutes, but the profit or revenue I made was so low that yeah, these aren't a good money maker anymore, despite water runes being quite expensive. Now, I know for a fact that chickens are a good trading method early on in RuneScape 3 and are around 1 million GP per hour, and yes, I checked, I tried it again. However, since I do not remember these being a good money maker back in the day, I went to their neighbor, cows, because I very clearly remember setting up a cowhide business, and I'm going to assume that 99.9% of you watching that played pre-EOC have the exact same memories. Now, instead of killing them in Lumbridge, I went ahead and killed the ones in Tavali, as they're more clustered up and I'm able to use my modern weapons with invention perks, with roaming and all that, to obliterate these cows. I went absolute ham on these cows, although I will say I didn't use a cannon because cannonballs are too expensive. At least for cows. Now, I used magic notepaper to note both the raw beef and cowhides, and I managed to kill a whopping 238 cows in 6 minutes. Now, the raw beef and cowhides sold for a little bit less than expected, and I also used 226k worth of magic notepaper, so the net profit we were making per 6 minutes was only around 100k. So despite killing over 1400 cows per hour, I was only making 1 million GB per hour net profit, which I suppose you could buy your free-to-play items with this, but you're not going to be able to get your bond. Well, you will, but it's going to take you very, very long. Another certified classic RuneScape money-making method is fishing in Karamja. Whether that was tuna, lobbies, or sorties, all you needed was your cage or your harpoon, 30 coins to take the ship to Karamja, and you were well on your way to making some serious bank. Now, as lobsters are currently the highest profit per fish, I went ahead and started caging those. Just like the good old days, after filling up my inventory, I went over to the Styles NPC to note my lobsters for free, and then straight back to fishing lobsters. Thanks to modern mobility abilities like Surge, I was able to get nearly 480 lobsters per hour, which would result in a profit of only around 182k per hour, as lobsters sold for a net profit of 380 GP each. Not very good. Now, if you think of other magic moneymakers from the past, I'm sure high alching items will come to mind. High alching is still a moneymaker used today in free-to-play, as if you're able to find items with a net profit over a couple of thousand of GP, it certainly isn't the worst moneymaker out there, albeit a tedious one, even when placing the magic interface behind your inventory to just spam click an alch. As the price of nature runes has risen over time, the amount of profitable free-to-play items has decreased, but they still do exist. Mainly in Dragonhide items and salvage, and surprisingly, free-to-play does have access to the higher level Orichalcum salvage, meaning that they could, in theory, if they were able to buy these items in bulk, make over 2 million GP per hour at over 1200 alchs per hour. But since high alching is tedious, I don't think it's a moneymaker anyone is going to be doing for long, unless of course you're getting some assistance from the good old scaping PC assistant, if you know what I mean. Let's be real here, Jagex released alchemizer machines with the invention skill for a reason. No one likes alching. Now, I don't remember doing this myself, but the Bones to Banana spell is still a profitable spell today if you have some upfront money. In fact, it's probably way better today, as you're able to load a bank preset with bones, which are definitely rising in price due to necromancy coming up and people, expecting bones to be used. Kind of sucks, because otherwise the method would be even better. But in 2 minutes, I was able to convert nearly 1500 bones to bananas, which cost me 621,000 GP in runes and bones, and I was able to sell these bananas for far below their actual GE value, which means this method might be a bit risky in terms of profit margins, which would give us 2.5 million GP per hour, as in 2 minutes I made nearly 85,000 GP profit, net profit. So it seems that the majority of nostalgic moneymakers have aged like milk, but there are definitely some old moneymakers out there that could be considered relevant in today's free-to-play, like mining iron ore, but those are some rare outliers. What are your most nostalgic moneymakers? Be sure to let me know down in the comments below. Once more, a thank you to War Thunder for sponsoring this video, which you can check out by using my link in the description below to get a nice head start.